I am Dana Cole with eXp Realty, and I am here with.
Karen Ireland with AmeriFirst Home Mortgage. This primarily towards our home buyers that are a little bit scared in this market today. Let's see if we can kind of put things in perspective a little bit for you. Yes, it is definitely different today than it was this time last year. But historically, if you look at our last, 20 years per se, this is not out of the ordinary. If you look at our interest rates over the last 20 years, they go up, they come down, they go up, they come down. If you look at our interest rate as recently as 2001, we were where we are today. The average interest rate in 2001 was 6.97%. So it does go up and down, and it goes up for a year or two, it comes down for a year or two. So the point is, if you can afford to buy a home right now at these rates and you absolutely love that house, you should do it. Interest rates are going to change. They're going to go down. They always do. And you're building equity in the time frame because house prices, they're not going to go down anytime soon. There's no inventory. If you find a house you love, you should buy it.
Yes. And to piggyback off of that, I pulled some numbers. So August 2019, the median home price was $265,000 in the Richmond area. The median home price last month, August 2022, was $340,000. So that's $75,000 in equity in that home in the last 4 years. So the interest rates are changing, but that equity is building. So just think 4 years from now, that home that you want would be potentially worth $75,000 more than it is today.
And think of that from the other angle too. If you wait for interest rates to go down and we follow that same pattern 5 years from now, your house, that same house could be an additional $75,000 in cost.
Right.
It is actually better to buy a home at a higher interest rate, lower price than it is at a higher price, lower interest rate. You save money in the long run.
Right.
So if by waiting, you could end up buying the same house 5 years from now for an additional $75,000. Over the life of the loan, costs you a lot more money.
Right.
So there are quite a few programs out there for first-time home buyers that can help with buying down an interest rate. If you have funds and you want to try to get your lower payment with a lower interest rate, you can definitely do that. There's buy downs where you tier your rate. There's first-time home buyer programs that can help you with grant funds to pay some of your down payment and closing costs. Tons of options out there to help as much and as in many ways as we can. Looking on the other side of things, what do we have good going on right now? Think about the good things you do when you own a home. You build equity, you build wealth, you get the ability to do whatever you want to that property. You can put in a pool, you could put it in a deck, you can paint it bright orange if you want to. That you cannot do when you're a renter.
Yeah.
You can choose to put all new blinds in the windows, or things that your landlord may not like you putting big holes in the wall or mounting TVs on the wall, things like that. So when you own a home, you get the flexibility and the ability to do a lot of things that you can't do when you rent.
Yes, absolutely. That is an investment for you. So that property has the ability to make money for you. Whether you stay in that home to build equity or you decide to rent that property out. So let's say you want to move somewhere or you have to move somewhere for a job. You want to stay in that property for 2 years for the capital gains tax benefit. Another perk of owning a home. So capital gains tax is if you're a single person and you've lived in that house 2 out of the last 5 years, and then you go to sell it, you get up to $250,000 tax free. So that's money that's not being taxed by the government. If you're married, that number goes up to $500,000. So that's another plus to owning a home. But if you have to move, you could also become a landlord. And so you could keep that property potentially if it, the rents look right, which right now they do. Rents are, as you know, if you're a first-time home buyer thinking about buying a home, rent is expensive. So that money would come to you. You could pay your mortgage and potentially have some left over to have income, do something else with that money, and also purchase another home.
And another thing that I don't believe that new homeowners think about is your interest that you pay on your mortgage. And also if you should choose to buy down a rate, it's called a discount point when you do that. Those are all tax deductible when you file your taxes at the end of the year. So if you pay a higher interest rate right now, you're going to have more money to write off. Therefore, maybe you pay Uncle Sam a little bit less,
Yeah.
which I always welcome paying Uncle Sam a little bit less.
Yes.
He
Don't we
gets me
all?
every year. So I'm okay paying a little more interest because I get it back on my tax return. So think about that as well. It does let you adjust your income to accommodate the fact that you'll pay less in taxes. Something else to think about when you weigh those numbers. I'm not a tax professional, so I can't calculate per se how much you could claim off on your taxes, but definitely a conversation you can have with your tax person.
I'm also not a
So,
tax specialist, so talk to
that
your tax person about the capital gains, but that's just,
I
basic.
like to wear a lot of hats, but I want nothing to do with tax returns.
Yes, me either. I hand that off.
I have a little quote of the day I want to share with everybody. It kind of falls in line with this. So the quote of the day reads, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step." And I think that definitely could apply to your mortgage journey, is you have to take that first step to get into the mortgage world. Once you own a home and you see the comfort and the stability that you feel, you just feel better about yourself when you own a home. So it's definitely worth looking into that avenue. And you need some money that you're going to trust to walk you through the process.
Yes, please don't go to your big banks.
I can tell you that the banks will be available to you during the business hours. If you have questions on a weekend or at 8 o'clock at night or whatever the case may be, when you actually might have time to sit down and think about buying a house, you're probably not going to get one of your big banks. So, call a mortgage person that actually all they do is mortgages. Call a realtor that's all they do is sell or buy houses. When you go to a big bank where they might do consumer loans or credit cards and a lot of other things, they're not really mortgage professionals. So to buy a house, you need someone who's in the daily groove of it all day, every day.
And from the real estate perspective, it's much easier to get a hold of like Karen versus someone who works at Bank of America, let's say. I don't even know if I can name them. They usually get handed off and sent to different people, and then I don't know who I'm supposed to be talking to. My first house I purchased with BB&T, and we never talked to our loan officer after that first initial conversation. I couldn't get a hold of them, and my closing was delayed.
Mhm.
So I think it's really important who you choose to work with as far as the mortgage goes and who you choose as your lender. So
Great. I like to do a lot of the mortgage process per se up front. So once you actually find that home and write the contract and it's accepted, your job with me should be for the most part done. Like there's no stress coming from me at that point. I want you to just be able to pack and move.
which is
Ready,
stressful in
ready,
itself.
ready to move
Yeah.
on. We don't like surprises after that point. Because when you find your dream home, you're so excited and ready to get into that property. I don't want you to question the fact whether you're actually going to have the money to buy it.
Yeah.
So it's very important to me to make sure that you are comfortable through that process. What else is going on in the Richmond area? We're coming
Um,
into the holidays. Anything special going on?
I mean, there's so much going on in Richmond. And a little plug for myself, but I made a Richmond fall guide, and I'm planning on making a winter one and a summer one and a spring one. But if you want to get a copy of that Richmond Fall Guide, you can go to richmondfallguide.com, and that's a free download for you. And it has clickable links in there. So if you want to buy tickets to like the Maymont Garden Glow, which I'm
Oh,
really
yeah.
excited to go to, you can just click on that and it will take you right there so you can purchase tickets. But as far as good things, awesome things, feel good things, I also wanted to talk about Moments of Hope Outreach, which is a local food pantry here. They're actually like right up the road from me in Hanover County. They serve Henrico and Richmond City and Hanover County. They give free groceries and hygiene products to, our homeless population, free health screenings. They have a mobile unit that will go to different places in Richmond and Henrico, and they also have their brick and mortar location, which is on Courthouse Road in Hanover. At their location, their brick and mortar location, they do free groceries and hygiene items as well. Those are usually Saturdays. And they also offer lots of resources for the homeless population. They also give out tents and sleeping bags
Oh,
for
wow.
free. Yeah. So they also do food drive collections. So if you are a neighborhood and you wanted to organize something, you could give them a call and they come and collect groceries that were left out on the curb from your neighborhood. So you would just have to schedule a time for them to come pick that up and they would just come by and collect it from your neighborhood, which I thought was really cool. So
Yeah, that's fantastic. You don't even have to drive anywhere to go drop it off.
exactly, you can just
That's
give them.
awesome. That's so much good in your community. That's amazing.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, that's fantastic. And I think now that we're going into the cooler weather, because this is definitely the coolest September we've seen in some time.
Yeah.
I know I was sitting here earlier with goosebumps and I'm not very happy about it. That, sometimes I think we forget about the homeless and what they deal with at this time of year. So that's a great community venture out there. So I'm glad they're taking care of those folks.
Absolutely. And if you want to give them monetary donations, I know they're also seeking those right now to help keep their brick and mortar store open. So,
Awesome. Yeah, definitely check them out. They can't do anything else good in that community. They just cover it all bases. So that's awesome. And going into Thanksgiving and Christmas coming up and things like that is everybody's going to need a little bit more during this time frame. We tend to overdo it for our families and forget about those who don't have that option.
yes,
So let's just try to spread a little bit of cheer this year.
absolutely.
It's been a rough year, so
For
let's see what we
everybody.
can do to brighten it up for some
Yeah.
folks. We touched on some first time home buyer programs. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of first time home buyer programs because they're sometimes specific based on where you're looking to buy. But if you
Mhm.
have questions, just reach out. Anything that you need to know, I can funnel your way. If you're looking at a particular program, some programs are property specific or area specific. So Dana and I will work together on those. She'll provide me what houses you might be looking at, and then I can tell you if it qualifies for a certain program. But there's so many options out there to help. It'd be a shame to not take advantage of them.
And that's
So
why you ask me and I say, hey, go talk to a lender because there's so many. I don't know. I can't even begin to know. That's
it-
my wheelhouse.
it's
Yeah.
really hard to keep track of all of them
Yeah.
if we're trying to give you a broad over range of it. But definitely, there's so many out there. You should definitely take advantage. The local counties want first time home buyers. They want you to buy in their community because it's good for the community in general. It's great for the economy. It's good for the local businesses, things like that. So let's see what we can do to help. We are going to touch on some more things about this time next week. So y'all have to come back and see us again. Next week, we'll talk about some additional mortgage products and maybe focus on a couple of houses in the neighborhood that are affordable that, are still out there, maybe sitting for a little bit. You guys can check them out and see what's actually on the market instead of, not really sure what can a certain dollar price range get you in your area. We'll focus on a couple of houses. So you can take a look. Great seeing you guys. Bye.